Hey, this is Jim Essence. Welcome to Classwork Homework 8.4, Changing Measures of Center. Remember, your video score from Edpuzzle goes right there to Classwork grade. This is due Monday. Calculators are okay. So if you recall from last night's homework, we had the Chicago Bulls, 7 players here, and I went ahead and gave you your team averages for height, weight, age, experience, their player number, and then team averages for points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, as well as salary. So if you recall from yesterday, mean, you find it by adding everything up and dividing by how many you have. Now, what happens to this data when all of a sudden we start removing data points? It should change the mean. It should change the other measure of center that we did yesterday, which was the median, which is the middle. So let's focus on the mean first. So first problem says, how would the mean height of the Bulls change if Robin Lopez was cut? Well, the first thing you always want to establish is what was your original mean height? And luckily we have this table here that will help us out right here. So if we go over to height, it was 561 over 7 players, right? 561 came from adding all these heights together, and we did them in inches, right? So our height yesterday was 80.1. So now we ask ourselves, okay, what is our new mean going to be, but this time without Robin Lopez? So if you take your original total, 561, that includes Robin Lopez, then just subtract out his height. And remember, we want to do it in inches. So 7 feet, that's 12 inches in a foot. So 7 times 12, that's 84 inches, right? So 561 minus 84, and that gives a new total of 477. Now, the big thing is, if we cut Robin Lopez, we no longer have 7 players that we're working with. We now have 6 data points. So 477 divided by 6. So our new mean height becomes 79.5. We're going to round everything to the nearest tenths. Right? So all I have to do is now figure out the difference. So my mean height for my team was 80.1. My new mean height is 79.5. So I have a decrease in my height of 0.6 inches. Not that big of a deal, right? So the whole point here is I want to show you both when it comes to kind of a whole pool of data points and when it comes to like statistics, that removing one, unless it is a gigantic outlier, usually doesn't affect the mean that big of a deal. But if it is a big outlier, like it's a huge number or a really small number and is not related to any of the numbers, then it probably will affect it. Let's do one more. How would the mean salary of the Bulls change if Otto Porter was traded? Okay, so again, you start off by saying, all right, what's my original? And if we go to salary right here, I had it 75.3 million divided by 7 players. If I added up all those salaries, gave me a mean salary average of $10.8 million, right? So now my new is basically going to be like, it's going to be the Bulls salary of 75.3 million, but subtract out Otto Porter's salary, which is 26 million. Right? When I do that, I get a new total of 49.3 million. And remember, I'm no longer dividing by 7 players anymore. I traded them, so dividing by 6 players. When I do that, my new mean salary becomes 8.2 million. So to find the difference, I just say 10.8 minus 8.2. And again, it's a decrease because it's going down of 2.6 million. So even though Otto Porter takes up $26 million in cap space, the average for the Bulls salaries is only going to change by 2.6 million. Now there's something else you can do with changing mean, and this is called like a desired mean. So you can predict like, hey, if I add an 8th player and I wanted to increase my points per game to 15 points, how much would they have to average, right? This is called a desired mean. So here it is. If the Bulls added an 8th player, right? Notice that now we have one more data point. So you won't be dividing by 7 anymore. You'll be dividing by 8. And wanted their average points per game to increase to 15. So this is what's called a desired mean. It's almost like if you were taking a quiz and you're like, hey, I want my grade after this quiz to be a 90 overall. Like, what do I have to get on the quiz, right? So it says, how much would that player have to average by himself? So here's what you do. you take your original points per game, subtotal, which we have right there, 79.8. 79.8. You're going to add another player, so plus X, we don't know how much he has to average, over, again, we've added one player, so 8 is equal to your desired mean of 15, right? This is saying, hey, if I take the players I have now, I add one more, I want my mean to be 15. All right, so we've seen equations like this before. Let's just go ahead and solve. So I start off by saying, all right, times 8 times 8. Those cancel off right there. I drop down 79.8 plus X is equal to 15 times 8, 120. Got my old friend, a one-step equation. So I see addition, so therefore I subtract. Minus 79.8 minus 79.8. And then, so in this case, when you do your subtraction, X is equal to 40.2 points per game. And like, think about that. There's not a single player in the NBA right now that averages 40.2 points per game. So if the Bulls just want to bump their average points per game for their team from 11.4 to 15, they're going to need to find a superstar. And that's the whole thing with averages, right? Just a little drop in the bucket doesn't change something. You need a gigantic drop in the bucket to even move something. All right, that's it. The rest are yours. On the back, you got some fun stuff about Bulls possibly adding all-stars and how that would affect means, about different statistics. And then 9 through 11 are asking about median and how that would affect. So remember, you need to order stuff from least to greatest. That's it. Call me if you have questions.